Carpet Shop Hell. Yo, what's going on? It's someone that's no one, and welcome back to today's report. Today's report is coming from Ripnami off the Psychonaut Wiki. When this happened, November 19th to the 20th, 2016. The drug used, DOC, at a dose of 2 tabs. The route of administration was orally. Gender, female. Weight, 67 kilograms, or 148 pounds. Age, 21, and the setting was noted as Carpet Shop Hell. So this is a pretty strong psychedelic experience with some good insights on some hallucinatory states. We have been doing a lot of DOI lately, and to see DOC compare will be interesting to say the least. So let's waste no time. I know you guys are going to like this, and without further ado, let's dive right into it. Please note, I'm not able to recall the exact time for many of these, but I do remember feeling them. I was fully aware at all times that I was just experiencing a psychedelic drug. Even when I hit my absolute lowest, when I thought I had died, I was still in control and was in no way a threat to myself or anyone else. I was mostly able to suppress the bad thoughts by thinking of positive things, and it 100% worked to get me to a better place. 19/11/16. Last week, I found one of my friend's fish dead on the filter. This week, the other one was dead too. So, that kind of set the mood for the rest of the night. I took the first tab at around 1:30 p.m., and the second one at around 4. I started to feel the first effects at around 3, but I was losing track of time by them, so I just took another tab for the sake of it. By this time, the ceiling was spinning, and it was just the usual geometry visuals, pretty mild, until my friend, who was playing Guitar Hero, started to vape in front of me. I felt like I could see every particle of the vape, and it was raining on me. It felt like the light was reflecting off each tiny particle of vape. Even after he stopped vaping, I could see smoke everywhere, and it was clouding my vision pretty badly. I think maybe 1 or 2 hours passed on this, and after the first onslaught of weird visuals, I decided to order some food. Also at this time, everything was very sticky and slimy. I thought maybe I was sweating a lot. I wasn't, but it made things like eating crisp hard, because they felt like slime. Something really weird happened. I lost my ability to comprehend human speech at around 8 or maybe 9 p.m. I think my friends thought I was just fucking around, but it was really bad. I could hear what they were saying to me, and I could link their voices with their faces, but the words just weren't making sense. I couldn't speak very well at this point either. My speech was like that of a child. It was really frustrating and upsetting to me, and I cried a little, only not much, because I was trying to order food for my boyfriend, but I couldn't understand what he was saying to me. I had to have everyone type to me because I just couldn't understand. This continued until 12 a.m., which is when I started to feel considerable good change. I still couldn't understand what people were saying, but I just shut off and listened to some good music. This is when Carpet Shop Hell kicked in. My visuals at this point were quite nice. It was Christmas in the room, and if I looked to the side or at my phone, I could see a Christmas tree in the middle. There were red and gold lights with a snowy window, and I was wearing a Christmas jumper. When I looked away, they disappeared. Then, the same thing happened again, but this time, it was with a hockey rink, then a carpet shop. I spent 2 hours in that carpet shop trying to get away from the insistent nagging of something inside me to buy a carpet. Side note, for some weird reason, I have a fear of carpet shops. I feel like this was supposed to be a bad trip because it was trying to play on one of my worst fears. But it wasn't even a nice carpet shop. It was mediocre at best. The carpets were shit, and I wasn't scared at all. I just didn't want to be at the carpet shop. Nobody takes psychedelics to trip to a carpet shop. Then, my consciousness sort of split into multiple facets. I was on the phone talking to my sober friend, remembering old times, but I was still at the carpet shop, and it was still Christmas. I was at a Starbucks drinking hot chocolate, and it was snowing outside. This was all pretty nice, but the carpet shop just wouldn't go away. I don't need to buy a carpet, and I thought, if this drug is trying to scare me, why doesn't it make the carpet shop look like the ones I'm scared of? but it was just a very bland carpet shop, the sort of carpets you'd find at an elderly relative's house. This constant loop of carpet shopping for a carpet that I didn't want was making me tired, so I tried to block it out. Then it was Christmas and Starbucks and everything nice, and instead of the carpet shop, I got laundry. I was stuck in laundry, but then the carpet shop came back, so I was stuck in the laundry and the carpet shop. Some time passed on this endless carpet shop hell loop. I would go to other places too, like a fancy cruise or a car dealership, and the room we were in suddenly had big staircases and huge snowy windows. Still though, the carpet shop would be in the back of my mind. I left my friend's house at around 2:20 a.m., still tripping like mad. And on the walk home, everything was so distorted, and thankfully, the carpet shop went away. When I got home, I put my boyfriend to bed and was set to spend the rest of the night coming down to some nice music. But then my friend suggested I watch some trippy videos. I spent like 1 hour or similar stuck in a Zoom quilt, a really fucking bad one, and somehow that took what was finally a well-deserved come down into a total re-loop of my experience. I forgot to mention at times when the drug was peaking, it would kind of stop and I'd think I was coming down, but then I would just explode again like I was just coming up. This happened several times. The visuals are getting worse. It's been 14 hours since I took the first tab, and I'm not coming down or anything at all. It's full-blown carpet shop hell. Every time I think I'm about to fall asleep, even though I'm still tripping out, I just suddenly hear, "Well, you haven't bought that carpet yet." I'm never going to get out of this carpet shop, so I might as well live with it now. It's 5:14 a.m. Also, the fan is on, and it sounds like it's underwater. I'm getting underwater visuals, and it makes me feel like I'm in the fish tank with that poor deceased fish. The auditory hallucinations now are making me feel sick for some reason, and it feels like the music I'm listening to is bleeding out of my throat. This trip hasn't ended yet, and right now, it feels like it's just not going to stop. My consciousness is still split into multiple facets, and I'm on a cruise and in a disco, and also, still, the carpet shop. The visuals are pretty good, although strangely weird and mundane, but it took 11 hours to get here, and for most of that time, I was half crippled and incapable of doing pretty much anything. I could have done something else in that time alone, and just got it over and done with. This is a trip that is an actual trip. I've been to many great places tonight, but I didn't do this drug to trip to a carpet shop. 2011-2016, 6 a.m. plus. Sometime around 6 a.m., I started to come down a bit from the intense tripping. No longer was I in a carpet shop, but I didn't get any sleep at all. It's currently 9 p.m. the day after I took my tabs, a total of 32 hours on this thing. Instead of sleeping, I just messed around on my computer, but I was still getting auditory distortions and some geometry. I took a long hot shower at 11 a.m., and sometime later, I went to the store to buy some food and some nasal decongestants for my boyfriend. After smelling the nasal spray, my visuals suddenly shot back as if I was just peaking again, almost 24 hours after taking it. So I've linked in the fact that was probably making me consistently peak over and over. Sudden changes in scent. Also during the night and all throughout today, I've been extremely emotional, crying at almost everything, whether it's happy or sad, and I'm actively trying to find things to make me cry in a healthy way because I feel that in order to be able to sleep, I should just cry my way through it. It's been a pretty intense 32 hours so far, and I honestly don't think it's going to be over until I sleep, and even then, I think there will be lingering effects. I should mention that temperature distortion was bothering me during the night. At one point when I was in bed trying to sleep, my temperature dropped so low, despite heat being on. I got a sudden intense visual of my boyfriend grabbing my wrist and saying, "You're dead." And I had to message a friend online to clarify that I wasn't actually dead and that my boyfriend wasn't actually dead, just in case. My heartbeat has been feeling strained all day, but I think that's more due to the exhaustion than anything else. DOC, another drug from the DOX family that was synthesized by Sasha Shulgin. Recently on the channel, we've covered a lot of DOI, and you can see here that DOC isn't too far off in its experience. The same could be said for DOM, but breaking this substance down, it is another psychedelic amphetamine. The experience typically will last anywhere from 10 to 30 hours, depending on the dose. On it, the user will experience classical stimulant effects as if you consumed an amphetamine, so things like appetite suppression, increased energy, dehydration, dry mouth, and many more effects are going to be present. At the same time, the user will experience a trip that has been comparable to LSD, though the bodily sensations and visuals have been reported to be much stronger. Based on Ripnami's report here, I would say for the most part, the effects described matches up with the substance's effects. I do wish we knew the dose that she took, but I imagine the hallucinatory states that she did enter were mainly internal, though the environment and her set beforehand most likely did contribute to these states. This is the first report I do believe we've ever heard someone ending up in a carpet shop. Honestly, reminds me something you'd find yourself in on salvia, but nonetheless, as the psychedelic experience goes, if there's any repressed fears you may have, they tend to make their way present during the trip. DOC shows that potential here to act as a strong psychedelic, including even the sense of scent that was recognizable impacting the trip. But let's bring up some other reports to compare. The trip Love Bliss Power by Koala Bear was the first DOC report we've ever done, which was a long time back. This report included a 28 mg dose from a fairly experienced DOC user. Now, a dose like that is pretty much a heroic dose. I highly doubt that the 2 tabs Ripnami ingested here was anywhere near that dose. And with a dose like that, you'd expect Koala Bear to have a stupid strong trip, but for the most part he described it as pleasurable, and with the dose being that high, it actually negated the negative effects he experienced on lower doses. Now this may hold some truth, but on a dose like this, you probably are in the danger zone of ODing and possibly dying. So I would guess that either he was rather lucky to not have experienced any adverse effects, or the batch that he had was overestimated, or it could have been possible he had a very high stimulant tolerance, leaving for most of the psychedelic effects to take hold. Koala Bear also reports not even tripping for a day straight, while Ripnami reports tripping for 32 hours. Koala Bear also doesn't describe entering any strong hallucinatory states, rather his hallucinations and visual effects came from his interaction with the environment around him. Both reports, though, state that there was a strong body load presented with the trip, and in other DOX substances we've covered, we can see very similar reported effects, such as the general stimulatory state, the visuals, thoughts, and whatnot. One trip I want to bring up here is Totally Wide Open by Obi-Run, where he ingested DOI. What I find interesting here is that both users enter the trip with their set in mind. Obi-Run's being generally more positive as he previously quitted smoking, and obviously Ripnami's one being more depressing with the death of her friend's fish. I think both these factors heavily influence their trips and their moods throughout the experience. Interestingly though, coming in with these attitudes makes me wonder if they influence the psychedelic impact of their trip. Out of all the DOX substances covered, these reports were among some of the strongest in psychedelic terms. The trip Serious Medicine or Poison by Raki is another example of a strong DOI experience, though we don't have a comparable set in which she entered the experience. But we can see that sleep deprivation can make the trip stronger. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you guys want to see more DOC or any of the DOX substances, let me know below, or any substance at all for that matter. Let me know in the comments below. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, hey, hit the subscribe button. If you didn't like the video, like the video. Follow the socials. It's been someone that's no one, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.